Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so do you remember how in the Kanto games you'd be exploring a cave, minding your own business, and then boom, Zubat? According to a study conducted in 2008, this ranks among the top 10 things that hurt a human being the most. Because a Zubat in those games is just that, a Zubat. Well, and later a Golbat. But think about Zubat in any other region. Sure, they are just as annoying to run into just because they're fast, they use supersonic, and there's still just way too many of them. But in the back of your mind now, there's always that thought, hey, this may suck right now, but this could be a worthwhile investment for the future. And I'm not talking about cryptocurrency, I'm talking about that other thing that starts with a C, Crobat. Just the addition of this one Pokemon to the game instantaneously made one of the most annoying and expendable Pokemon ever about 100 times more interesting. This one Pokemon exemplifies why cross-generation evolutions are one of the best ideas Game Freak ever had, and why they should have never gone away. Why do people love Sneasel so much? Well, I can tell you right now, it ain't because of Sneasel, because this Pokemon is Cheeks! It's just because you know that in your future, you're going to have yourself an amazing Weavile. Sometimes I forget Weavile isn't even in Gen 2. This design feels so seamless from the original that it just seems like this Pokemon has always been here. And those are the best kinds. Scizor, Yanmega, Mamoswine, Magnezone, Kingdra, they all just feel right. Without them being there, the originals just feel incomplete. Sometimes they even go the opposite direction, and it still works. Like with Mime Jr. or Bonsly. Because there's just something not quite right about hatching one of those little eggs, and a 4-foot-tall European man comes out. It's a little unsettling. Now don't get me wrong though, I hate friendship evolutions. You can throw those back in the garbage where they came from. But high-key, I wouldn't even mind seeing a little baby Lapras or Tropius one day. I feel like those would be very natural additions to the decks. Now granted, not all of them can be slam dunks. Like, what is Igglybuff adding to this family? This is just another unwanted child. There was nothing wrong with your older sibling. And when it comes to straight-up evolutions, Blissey also feels very unnecessary. It's literally the same Pokemon as Chansey, but with more special defense, special attack, and 5 added to everything else. In a way, this just feels like the Gen 2 equivalent of a Diet Mega Evolution. And I know they didn't plan for this in 1999, but now, we have to live with Eviolite Chansey's existence. Same thing for Porygon 2 and Dusclops. Sometimes you gotta be careful with who you give an evolution to these days, or you might just end up creating a defensive monster. But despite some of these misses, undoubtedly nothing gets me more hyped than seeing a new evolution for an old Pokemon. You ask anybody what one of their favorite parts was about Gen 4, I guarantee you they'll say the new evolutions for old Pokemon. And then Diamond and Pearl didn't even put most of them in the base game. They said, here, you can have this monkey with 2 tails. And you know what? We still ate it up! Now, I get Gen 5 not wanting to add any cross-gen evolutions, because that gen was all about the new stuff. It didn't want to have any ties to the previous regions. And you know what? I respect it. But why'd you have to go and make a Alomomola? You mean you showed this design to your board of like 20 Japanese guys, and not a single one of them said, hey, don't we have one that kind of looks like this already? Look man, you can say this region only has new Pokemon all you want, but if you make a pink fish that's shaped like a heart, I'm gonna be mad when it's not a Love-Disc evolution. This was your only chance! I do not care if they are based on 2 entirely different species of fish. This is the same series where an acorn can evolve into a demon. There are 0 excuses. If nothing could evolve from old stuff in Gen 5, then just push it to Gen 6! Heck, you already pushed Tortuga from Gen 2 back to Gen 5, so we know you hang on to these things. Unova already has 155 other Pokemon in its decks. Nobody would have missed this thing if you pushed it back 3 years. And speaking of Gen 6, what's the deal, man? Like, I get it. Eevee is cute and popular and marketable and has the whole evolution gimmick, but really, Sylveon is the only new cross-gen evolution here? Don't get me wrong, I love Sylveon. It just feels weird being here all by itself. There could have at least been a couple other new evolutions added here, like Alomomola. And I don't mean that temporary mega crap either. I need the organic, real thing. Because now Game Freak could put themselves into this box where lore-wise they can never give real evolutions to some Pokemon that really need them. So stuff like Sableye and Mawile are worse off now than they were before Megas were introduced. Because now there's just no hope because Game Freak is allergic to giving actual meta-changing buffs to bad Pokemon. It was a gift with a lingering curse. Well, I guess they could just add another multiverse or something at this point. It's probably not that big of a deal. And then Gen 7 just had to rub salt in the wound by saying, okay, you get nothing. with no explanation or excuse this time like in Gen 5. By the way, here's another Kanto game, so no Crobat for you. Now Gen 8 definitely took a step in the right direction. Regional evolutions like Obstagoon and Sirfetch'd were a very logical progression of the regional form concept introduced in Alola. Plus, they went back to giving evolutions to Pokemon that actually needed them, so that was a welcome surprise. But I won't lie, although I really love these new Pokemon, there is a bit of a hollow feeling when you think about Cantonian Farfetch'd still being its same old crappy self. And plus, anywhere outside of the Galar region, you're still most likely going to find the original Farfetch'd and not the Galarian variant that actually evolves. Fortunately, Game Freak has been pretty good about including all of Pokemon's regional forms whenever they're in the decks, except for Legends Arceus, but that was a little different. Like, you can still get Cantonian and Alolan Meowth in Sword and Shield, despite the fact that there's a Galarian Meowth. You'll just have to jump through a few extra hoops first. So I guess, hypothetically speaking, if Jotonian Corsola is in Scarlet and Violet, then there should be a way to get Galarian Corsola and Cursula by extension. But that doesn't mean I'm actually going to be hyped when I do find the Jotonian Corsola, because it still sucks. There's always gonna be that little asterisk where it's like, yeah, this Pokemon can evolve, but also not really. Then you got Stantler from Legends Arceus, and I have no clue how he's going to work in the future, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe there'll be a special move tutor who can teach your Pokemon these long-forgotten Hisuian moves, and that's how you evolve them into their new forms. That would be pretty cool. But you know, the weird case of Hisuian evolutions aside, I am rather optimistic because it seems like for the first time since Gen 4, we're getting a Pokemon that can finally just evolve normally from a pre-existing Pokemon. Farigiraf. Again, not counting Sylveon or Weirdeer, I don't know what's up with them. I don't even like Girafarig, and yet this was the most hyped I've been seeing a new Pokemon in years. In actual cross-gen evolution with no strings attached. I'm assuming because the way the trailer presents it, it seems like Girafarig probably just evolves whenever you trade it holding a special item, like the Chain Chomp from Double Dash, I don't know. So yeah, this is huge. There's probably still going to be evolutions unique to regional forms like Mr. Rhyme or Sneasler, but it seems like we may just have some completely normal ones mixed in there too. Or maybe I'm completely off base and there's gonna be some crazy reason as to why Girafarig can only evolve in the Paldea region. I have no clue, I don't look at leaks. I just think the reveal of Farigiraf made me remember how much I loved and missed traditional cross-gen evolutions. Just a natural buff to a pre-existing bad Pokemon. A buff that presumably will never go away. Unlike Mega Evolutions, unlike regional evolutions. It's such an easy way to get people talking about Pokemon too. New fans will love it because it's a brand new Pokemon rather than a form, and old fans will love it because it's reinventing an old classic. Honestly, aside from Gen 5, which we already talked about, I can't imagine why they phased these things out for so long. It's the easiest promo they're ever gonna get. So to tie this all up with a nice little bow, cross-gen evolutions are based, and they really should just be a permanent staple in the franchise. Quit being weird about it. Hey, so normally this is where I do my standard outro, but I just got my flu shot, and I'm not feeling all that good. So, subscribe, and shout out to the channel members. You guys are awesome. That's it for me. See you guys next time.